Hey, what's going on? Making moves, folks. Happy Tuesday, and we're back with Tim and Tim. Sorry about last week, folks. We were on site last second at a property, and kind of had to skip the week. Hope everybody had a good week, though. And hey, Tim, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. It's refreshing to hear you bring us in this time. And normally it's me saying, "What's up, making moves?" Being involved
That's be-
full and excited.
that's because you just have way more excitement than me, man. I am excited, folks. This is me excited. Um,
this is me excited.
I'm a little reserved. I get a lot of crap for that. But hey, guys. So today I thought we'd chat about something that has kind of been near and dear to me lately. Because man, I'm getting frustrated reading these headlines. You read these headlines. It's like the sky is falling, or mortgage rates, or the housing market's crashing. And you go in and read, and all they're really talking about is like, hey, there's less mortgage applications being applied for right now. Because, hey, guess what? Nobody can afford a house.
Yep.
Uh, Prices jumped up, 200 grand, and now interest rates are double what they were at the end of the year, or even hell, the beginning of this year. And we all seem to be a little bit shocked that people are backing off purchasing properties. But I think there's more to it than that. Quite frankly, I read some of these things and I'm like, are you purposely misanalyzing the data that's in front of you? Because that's bad, right? Like if you're doing it on purpose, or do you just not understand it? And I know there's some opinions in these things, so feel free as you're watching this to type your opinions in there. We're certainly up for discussion. Um, but one of the things I wanted to point back to, Tim, you used to live in New York City, right?
Yep, Upper East Side, 75th and First.
Yeah, and so I've been going to New York City almost annually, multiple times a year since I think the first time I went there was 1992. It was a 17-year-old, wide-eyed, could not believe what I saw on 42nd Street. Hey, for those of you who remember a Disney store on 42nd Street, didn't used to be that way. Um, so, hey, Julie, how you doing? Uh, Hey, for those of you who don't know, Julie Prince Bell is someone I know out of the Raleigh area, and I actually know her brother really well. Her brother and my wife actually went to high school together.
Mm.
So, hey, good to see you there. And yeah, I bet you are selling more in Raleigh, not in RTP. Folks who don't know, RTP is the Raleigh area, Durham, Chapel Hill. But I bet she is selling like crazy in that area. But anyway, back to New York. Where was I going? So, New York City, right? Like during COVID, all we heard was how New York City was dying. People were moving out. And sorry about the pun there. That was unintentional. People were moving out. And real estate was just crashing, right? It was never going to come back. People who were buying during COVID in Manhattan and getting properties at like 30% discounts, crazy prices in Manhattan, were just stupid and foolish, right? We were dumb for trying to do that. I tried to do it myself. Then I decided, man, I don't know crap about the New York City real estate market as far as operating inside of New York City. So I backed off of that. I like to know a little bit about it before I put other people's money into it. Um, so I backed off, but at the same time, I held firm personally. I held firm that New York City is always going to be New York City. There's
Mhm,
always going to be people that live there, that want to
mhm.
live there, that come from other countries and want to live there. My daughter, she's 14 years old. You ask her some place she wants to live when she gets older, New York City's in her top two. You know, she just loves it. And I remember as a kid, I loved it too. I wanted to live there for a while. Tim, you moved there for a while.
I
Um,
didn't move there on choice though. I my now wife was my girlfriend at the time, and she said she was moving there, and I was like, "Hey, how do you feel like if I came with you?" And that's we moved in together in an apartment in New York City, and I never wanted to live in Manhattan. I'm a car guy. Like I love vehicles. I had to sell my car and like walk everywhere for 2 years. It was like, nah, this ain't for me. But it was a fun experience. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
Living in Manhattan was a really cool place to say that I've lived. I've worked on Wall Street, which is like that was a bucket list thing. What I thought was really cool. Coming from the finance background, all of those things are all really good things. And I don't want to downplay living in Manhattan at all, but I was super, super poor. Oh my God.
yeah.
Like way
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah, that's a popular sentiment, right? So, yeah, so Tim had the old timeless story of chasing a girl, right? Like, so,
Yeah, there you
hey,
go.
it
La la
worked out
la.
for him. It worked out for him. Hey, here's my point, right? So, sky's falling, everything's crashing in New York City, and we were just hearing that New York City would never be the same, right? Well, fast forward, what are we, 2022? We're literally 2 years from, March 2020 when kind of the shit hit the fan with COVID, right? And and here we are. And I'm on the phone last week with a buddy of mine who owns property in New Jersey and New York City. And he's talking about, man, my property manager's calling me, telling me I need to just like raise rents like crazy. There's nothing in the city available. Things are renting, at crazy prices. Immediately take even his like rent restricted, rent controlled stuff up to like the top price that he can. There's nothing available in the city. Sound familiar? I mean, that's New York City in 2018, 2019, right? So, whole point is, like today, fast forward to today, and we see all these articles talking about things are crashing, this is happening, this has happened, the economy, stock market, all this other stuff, mortgage rates, blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day, draw your own conclusions, look at the data, read the data, put your own kind of experience behind it too, look at some of the historical stuff. And yeah, are there areas in the country that are probably going to see a correction? Yeah, sure. You know, I would say look at areas where out net out migration is positive. So they got declining population. I would say avoid those areas. Tell me, raise your hand if you're shocked at that one. So avoid those areas, but areas like in the Sun Belt region, the Carolinas. I'll just talk about the Carolinas. Raleigh, super hot, just like Julie's talking about. Charlotte, super hot. Have things slowed down a little bit? Yeah. Even in my own neighborhood, things that were going under contract with multiple all cash offers in 3 days, they're sitting on the market 2 to 3 weeks, right?
No,
2 to 3,
big deal. Everyone got so
two,
spoiled with everything being sold within minutes or hours over the last
two to
2
three
years.
weeks.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh my
And that
God, 2 to 3 weeks, your house is for sale. I can't believe it.
it's expectation resetting, right? It's like, remember when things used to sit on the market for 6 months, right? Like, hey, let's look at 2009. Things sat on the market forever and then sold below what people owed for them. That is not what's happening today, man. That is not what's happening today. First of all, banks are still lending. Mortgage applications may be down, but banks are still lending, right? So that's still going on. There's still a severe undersupply of properties in this country, major undersupply. I think the stat was, I got it right here somewhere. Stat was going into 2000, between 2012 and 2019, we underbuilt by 4 million units. 4 million units. We were short, right? We needed to be building 4 million more over that time period. That slowed down even more during COVID, and we haven't caught up. So that number is over 5 million now. I've seen some in the 6 millions, but I think maybe that's being a little aggressive. So, we're over 5 million units short in this country right now. And guess what you're seeing as a result of less mortgage applications? Builders are holding off on building.
So it's
Right?
only adding fuel to the fire.
Right.
Just the already short supply is getting even shorter because the demand is still there. The demand is still there. If there's a shortage of supply, the demand is still there, especially in markets where there's a net migration in. That's why that's why we only buy properties in the Sun Belt, Carolinas specifically. We got something in Georgia, but we don't really stray too far from that because the market metrics say people are moving to the Carolinas and there's a shortage of supply, and the simple macroeconomic rule of supply and demand is 100% in force across the country. It doesn't matter if it's a growing market or declining market. Like, you can apply that the supply and demand to exactly what your where your rents and everything are going to go. But it's a good thing for us as apartment owners. If they're not building, right, and people are not buying, where are they going? If they're still moving here, they're moving into apartments, right? Because it's higher density, so you can get more people in a smaller place and you make more money that way as well. So I'm a big fan of of what that's doing for us. I mean, it's not that let's get out in front of this bullet here is we're not creating any problem. We're just cultivating and making profit off of the situation as it is, right? We're not trying to scourge anybody or do anything that's outside of the lines here. We're just paying attention to what's happening in the market and following accordingly.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's a really good point. Like, and Daniela, you're right. It is a domino effect, and it dominoes down, right? Just like Tim's talking about, is like less builders building due to higher mortgage interest rates, due to, less applications, less buyers, means the supply is going to continue to be at a deficit, which means, like Tim said, it's and less buyers mean more renters. So if you have
Mhm.
rental properties, you're probably going to see, some sort of positive impact from that, right?
You are solving a problem for the economy. You are providing rental housing for people that otherwise need it, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you're doing. You are solving a problem.
Yeah, yeah. And so, as an investor, and part of the reason that got me on this, like, soapbox. Sorry if I feel like I'm on a soapbox. I kind of do. Part of what got me on the soapbox is I actually had an investor come to me, and he's like, "Man, I don't know about investing in rental right now." I'm like, "Why
What?
not?" I'm like, "Why not?"
Now's the best time.
I was like, prices are coming down, seller expectations are changing. People are less bullish right now. So, like, Tim and I are seeing much better deals than we saw just 6 months ago. Much better
Oh
deals.
man, so many. Even the conversations with brokers have been different. I literally had a conversation yesterday with a broker, into last week, and then again followed up on yesterday. And he was like, "Look, man, these guys wanted, 10 and a half. And when I first reached out to them when rates were low, I was somewhere in the nines. And then he came back 2 weeks ago and was like, hey, they want to entertain your offer in the nines now. It's like, well, let me look at it again and see if it still works. And I was like, sorry, I can't even put a nine in front of it. And he was like, dude, if you could put a nine in front of it, it's yours. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm in like the low eights now. And they missed the peak time to sell it because the cost of capital is higher. Right. So
Yeah.
we're seeing more and more better deals coming out there. So like if you're one of the people that are trying to get into your first deal, be patient. Like I know that it's very difficult. You want it to work, you want it to work, you want it to work, but good deals are coming. I mean, the sentiment is changing with sellers, the interest rates are going up. We can pay less in order to provide the same return to our investors. So our offers are coming down. I mean, a lot of people are calling and asking about, well, hey, are you worried about the interest rate market or in the financial market? I said, no, because I'm just adjusting my offer price accordingly so I can solve for X, and X is my investor's expectation.
Yeah. Yeah. And two things Tim touched on. I want to offer another example of what he's talking about. Like, we're not ready to kind of bring the deal to market yet. We're still in the early stages of it. But we have something under contract right now that, literally, talking to the lender yesterday on this, he's like, "Man, if this was 6 months ago, you'd probably be looking at 2 or 3 million more in the purchase price." And I'm like,
Easily.
"Yeah, easily." And this is one of the, this is a fairly big deal. But 2 to 3 million more would represent probably an 11% increase in the price that we're purchasing it at. And so, this is going to be a much better deal than we would have gotten on this property 6 months ago. And so we're seeing that kind of thing. But it's not really because the demand's not there from a
Mhm.
rental perspective or
Correct.
from, a tenant perspective. It's just people are scared. People are
Mhm.
scared. They're seeing the headlines, they're seeing all this negative news and stuff, and they're scared. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit of a Warren Buffett fan. I don't know what people's opinions of him are, but I'm a little bit of the, like, hey, when people are fearful, be buying. Like, I believe in that.
Here we just look. We got a. I don't know who Facebook user is, but we're coming into the greatest time to buy. Be ready. The market is definitely changing, and sellers are going to be more open to creative deals. I absolutely agree with whoever
Agree.
you are, because
Agree.
I'm doing a deal right now. Seller finance. The guy's holding back 30% of the purchase price, and that was because I could pay more for the property because we were more creative, et cetera. Oh, it's Josh Harms. Oh, yeah.
That's my boy.
I thought that sounded familiar. I thought that was Josh, but yeah, I mean, doing the seller financing deal, and I don't have to come out of pocket a whole lot of money to buy this. The equity multiple on this deal for me over 10 years is almost 15x. because I've been able to use seller financing in order to reduce my cost of capital and limit the amount of money that I have to put it into the deal. So it's like the IRR is like 50% and average annual returns like 120%. Like, who wouldn't do that deal? But that's because sellers are more open to doing creative deals now because they know that they missed it. Like December, January, that was it. That was the time. Anything after that, interest rates started going up from there and prices started dropping immediately. Now it's taken a little bit of time for sellers to kind of adapt their expectations, but they're seeing as less offers are coming in and they're not going over what the pricing guidance is from the brokers, that they're like, oh, well, who's got the certainty to close? And let's just do this deal.
Yeah. Things have literally gone from, come with your highest offer to can you close? Like
Yep.
that's what sellers are asking now. And in fact, we've had multiple offers come to us in the last, or multiple opportunities come to us in the last probably month or so, where sellers have come and said, "Hey, if you can close, I'll give it to you at this price. $300,000 discount, $1 million discount, things like that." I mean, that's what's going on right now, right? Like just like Josh said, we're entering a time. It's going to be one of the greatest times to buy, and if you're willing, and here's the key. Here's the key. Like if you're trying to buy and flip out of something right now, I'm not talking about single family, but if you're trying to buy and flip out of something in like 4 months, 6 months. I think folks got a little spoiled with those like crazy appreciations that were going on like monthly. And they were like, I'm in, and then I'm jumping out and I'm gonna get a 36% return in 6 months, that kind of thing. Like that's gone. Let's
Yeah.
just be honest about that.
That's
That's
long
gone.
gone.
But that's never been what real estate really was, right? Like forget HGTV for a second and realize real estate's always been a long-term play. And whatever long-term is to you, I know it's relative, could be 3 years, 5 years, for some it's 10, others it's 30. Real estate's always been a long-term play. If you're willing to put a 2, 3, 5, 10-year horizon on your properties, this is a great time to buy, guys. Like a great time to buy. There's going to be some bumps in the road over the next 6 to 12 months, but I do not believe the numbers I'm seeing out there, the analysis I'm doing, I do not believe that there is this huge crash coming. That's just absolutely imminent, right? Like there's just a lot of factors at play here that people want to compare this to like 2008 and 9. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Vitaly tends to agree with me. This is not 2008 and 9. I was in 2008 and 9, and quite frankly, guys, like what Josh is talking about, being on the wrong side of 8 and 9 is what makes me like want to be on this side of 2022. Because people who bought in 9 and 10 and their friends were calling them idiots. Like, I can't believe you're buying this property. Go talk to them right now how they're doing.
Yeah, they're laughing all the way to the bank.
I know there's a guy who got a property from me in 2009 that is enjoying a pretty good life right now.
Oh, I bet.
Just off that property. I was, and you guys have heard me say this before. I was on the wrong side, and I vowed to never be on the wrong side again. This is a great time to be going in, guys. Especially if you're doing rental properties. We are not going to address this housing shortage anytime soon. As always, be smart. Do your due diligence. Don't overpay. But get in there and let New York City be kind of an example to everybody. Like there are just certain places in this country that are always going to be what they are.
Miami, New York City, DC, Atlanta, any of those major metros, they're not going anywhere.
No. Somebody the other day when I was talking about this threw Detroit at me, and I'm like, I'm not gonna argue the comparison between Detroit and New York City. No offense to anybody who lives in Detroit. But hey, there's examples out there if you look hard enough. But at the end of the day, look in in the Sun Belt area. Let's go all day long, right? Even Austin, that was probably a little overinflated over the last 12 months. If you got a long-term view on Austin.
Yeah. Did you see there was somebody I saw it floating around on LinkedIn about there's like I want to say it was like 100 billion or 200 billion dollar investment coming to Austin with more manufacturing jobs and things like that. Like Austin's not going anywhere.
No, no,
No way.
not.
Not with Papa Musk over there too. I mean, people follow him like a cult.
Yeah, yeah. He's yeah, it is kind of a cult, right? Um, but
um,
hey, and then hey, talking about things coming in, right? Like, let's talk about the Southeast for a second. Like, here's something we've been tracking. Tim and I have been tracking stuff coming up and down the East Coast, right? Especially Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Go out there and do your research on what's coming into the Carolinas and Georgia. Look at the money coming into Carolinas and Georgia from large companies,
mhm.
manufacturing, IT, biosciences, life sciences, you name it. Julie, mentioned earlier on the show today. Julie, she's in the Raleigh area. She could tell you all about the companies moving in there. By the way, if you're looking for property in that area, Julie's a great connection to have. So reach out to her. In Georgia, Tim and I just launched a deal today. And that Georgia market up through there, man, that whole corridor through I-95, I-16, up through there, just growing like crazy, guys. So I don't know, Tim, what do you think?
I mean, dude, you're not saying anything wrong, right? I mean, that's why we do what we do where we do it, right? Because the market dictates where you should and should not invest. I mean, a lot of our coaching students, they come to us and they've the biggest problem that we hear is that they've been looking all over the country for their first deal or maybe their second deal or third deal or whatever. And like, guys, you're never going to get that deal looking all over the country because you need to be specific on your market, right? And one of the first things that you have to do is you have to do the research on the markets that you want to invest in. And it's the big three, right? Rent growth, job growth, and population growth. Like if you have those three things, then you'll be fine. Like buy rental property in that area. Look at the supply and demand. And then one of our business partners, Billy Poloni, had sent over a statistic for property in the Somerville, South Carolina market, and it was showing how many new units were coming to the area over the next like 24 months or something like that. And the other side of that equation is, well, what's the absorption rate? How many units of those new units are being taken off the market, and how quickly? That shows you supply and demand at the same time, right? So you can't have one without the other, and it's always good information to have. But people are still building in your markets, then that there's still demand, there's still shortage. I mean, even this piece of land that we've been talking about on one of our deals, the value's gone up significantly because there's just nowhere to build, right? So if you do have an opportunity to build somewhere, people are coming and making very large offers on pieces of land because they are solving a problem in the market by building more units for people to move into because there's a shortage.
Yeah, yeah, and Scott, like great stat right there.
Oh yeah,
7 billion into Charleston, South Carolina alone, and that's not going to
alone.
slow down. For folks who don't know, Charleston, South Carolina is one of the largest and busiest ports on the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
And that's just part of what drives the Charleston area. There's technology and lots of other stuff going on down there as well. I think Scott healthcare is pretty big in Charleston. Um,
My
especially with all.
favorite thing are all the boat builders in the greater Charleston area.
Yeah, Tim and his boats, man. Tim and his boats.
I love them boats.
And I think isn't there like a little small airline maker, the aircraft
I don't
manufacturer
know. I'm
down
not
there?
big into airplanes.
I
I didn't
think
know
I
I
think their
needed
name.
an airplane until I met Josh Harms. So shout out
Yeah,
Josh Harms for spending my money I
yeah,
don't have yet.
yeah. For those of you who don't know, I'm talking about Boeing. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah. Oh, I forgot
you may have
about Boeing being there.
you,
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
you may have heard of them.
Yeah.
Um, um, but yeah, guys, like and when you're talking about 32 billion into South Carolina, that's just South Carolina. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys noticed, but North Carolina for what was it, the fourth time in 6 years, North Carolina was named the number one place to do business in the United States.
Yeah.
Um,
Charlotte and Raleigh. Yeah.
four times in 6 years.
Yep.
So
Oh,
lots of great things going on there.
what would be really good, and you might not remember the numbers off the top of your head. We were talking about it when we were on site at the Charlotte property last Tuesday, which is why we missed last Tuesday's show. Do you remember offhand what the number of population growth was going to be into Charlotte. It was something like staggering.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I actually have it up, but I could look at it real quick. But it is crazy. For those of you who don't know, if you want to do some research, go look in Raleigh for the 2030 plan, and in Charlotte, Charlotte has a 2040 plan. They're always out. They're always trying to outdo each other. Go look for those. There's some amazing stats in there. You'll start to learn what those cities are doing. I've been diving into the Raleigh stats like crazy lately because, hey, guess what, Julie? Coming into the Raleigh area with 2 properties, going strong. Let's catch up on those. But yeah, I've been diving into those stats like crazy. Raleigh's got a 2030 plan. Charlotte's 2040 plan basically calls out that based on not Charlotte's analysis, this is like a national firm. Charlotte's going to outpace Austin, LA, Nashville, and there was one other city in there in terms of growth over the next 15 years.
Do you remember how many people it was, though? It was something staggering. Like you said, it was like a whole, like today's current market in X city is going to be moving to Charlotte over the next 15 to 20 years.
Let's see.
I don't want to misspeak, I didn't say it.
Yeah, here we go.
An
addition of 1.49 million residents in the Charlotte MSA, an additional 1 million, just under 1.1 million new jobs. So yeah, and just the city of Charlotte is expected to add 385,000 new residents and 212,000 new jobs over the same period. So first numbers were the Charlotte MSA. The second numbers were for the city within the city limits.
Mecklenburg County specifically, yeah? Or the city limits?
City limits of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, and then obviously you're pulling in like Iredell and
yeah, that's crazy. Would you say 1.1 million people are going to be moving to the Charlotte area over the next 10 years?
Yeah, Mecklenburg County can expect population growth of approximately 1.491 million additional residents.
1.5 million people. That's insane.
Yeah. So, hey, for those of you in Charlotte, be prepared.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And hey, if you can buy something in Charlotte, you definitely should, because, the supply and demand is a real thing.
Yeah, because if anybody's seen the way that we do roads in Charlotte, good luck.
Well, good.
Yeah, we need to all move out to the lake and get a helicopter pad. So, all right, guys. Tim, what else, man?
Man, I just, I know that I hate talking about doom and gloom, right? But like, we're talking about doom and gloom and we're counteracting it with facts. And what is our thought process on why do we buy the properties that we buy and where we buy them? Is specifically because of this show. We talked about the market movers that we look at: population growth, job growth, rent growth. We look at, national statistics. We look at 2030, 2040 business plans for the city themselves. We buy property in great markets because we know that there's a need. And as an entrepreneur and a real estate investor, you want to solve a problem. And the problem is supply and demand. So if you can provide some supply for the demand, you will make money off of it. That's the whole point of this game, is to make money off of it. And it's not taking advantage of anybody or any situation. It is using the situation that's available to you in order to profit from it. Think about the whole gold rush thing. The guys that, went digging for gold didn't end up rich, but the guys selling the shovels and the jeans did, right? And that's who you want to be. You want to be the guy selling the shovel, and you want to be the guy selling the pair of jeans, because you're going to make out like a bandit, and you're not taking advantage of anybody. You're just providing a solution to a problem.
Yeah, I think Levi Strauss made out like bandits during that time.
Yeah, I think they did all right.
Hey, hey guys, like really, really good points there. And thanks for tuning in, because I just kind of wanted to like get that out there a little bit, because I see so many articles just talking about doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom, and it's real easy to get scared by it. Just to do yourself a favor and actually read them. Come to your own conclusions.
Christina. Now I'm gonna start looking in North Carolina. No, we're full. No, just
Don't come here. I'm tired of competition. Oh wait, but competition helps appreciation. Wait a minute, man.
yeah. Chicken and the egg, yeah.
Yeah. So hey guys, like I just wanted to share that because I remember 2020. Like, man, I wanted to buy in New York City so bad, but I just had so many people talking to me, and in hindsight, it was good for me not to because again, I'm not an operator in New York City. It probably would have been a mistake for me too. So make sure you measure like what you know and what you're familiar with versus the opportunity at hand. So at that time I made the decision to stay in the Carolinas and very happy I did. Do your own research there. But when you see these articles coming out talking about crash coming and this and that happening and all this other stuff, like just read it, draw your own conclusions. The data's in the article, and go from there. Listen, real estate traditionally it's long term play. If you're looking to try to make a quick buck, yeah, I recommend single family flips, but understand that that's not foolproof either, and it's a lot of work. But man, get in there, do your research, draw your own conclusions, and move forward. Don't be afraid right now. It's a great time, like Josh Arm said. It is a great time to be buying.
Absolutely, we're still buying. I'm not stopping buying. So, all right, guys, that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. See ya.
See ya.